Hey Awaken friends, Chris here, and welcome to the Ascension Series. This is part of our Awakening Yoga's evolution of yoga from the foundations, from the first starting point, all the way through up to intermediate and advanced. And I'm here just to guide through from my journey, from my yoga teacher training, where our teachers took us through the very basic foundational elements of every pose, which let us evolve our sequences and our flows and help us evolve into the teachers we became. So with that, I thought it was time to create a playlist dedicated to an Ascension series where I can build on some really foundational classes and evolve those into more intermediate and more flowy classes. If you're new here, if you're new to yoga, or if you're coming back to it after a while, this is a great place just to come to learn a little bit about positioning, how to cue, how to move, and how sequences are developed. If you don't already like or subscribe to Awaken Yoga, please do so now. So that way you can see more of this content and other contents, and the AI can find you in the algorithm to share and connect you with other things coming out in the future. It is a glorious summer's day here in Sydney, Australia. So I thought I'd get outside, get on the mat and record this series. So to start with, I suppose the biggest difference between yoga and calisthenics or other type of exercising is breath. And it's one thing that we cue into it, and it's one thing that helps our nervous systems just reset and engage. And it's why when you generally start a yoga class, we bring you into your breath and really sequence into that, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And I'd like you just to arrive on your mat, whether you're standing or sitting. We're just going to take a centering position to begin with. And with here, we'll just do a couple of box breaths. And again, with yoga, this is about what feels good to you. So if sitting down in a comfortable seat's great, start there. If standing is good, start here. For the first couple, I'm going to stand, then I'm going to sit. So maybe you want to do the same. It's up to you. But let's arrive into our space and into our bodies. And on a cycle, we're going to breathe in through the stomach first, then through the ribs and the chest. We'll hold and we'll exhale the same way out. So following me, let's inhale in through the stomach, breathing up through the ribs and up into the chest. Hold and exhale through the chest, the ribs, and your stomach. And inhale through the stomach, the ribs, and the chest. And exhale through the chest, the ribs, and the stomach. And now just cycle a couple of breaths in through the nose and out through the nose, connecting into yourself, into your body, into this present moment. And if you're standing, let's come down to a comfortable seat. That might be directly on your knees into hero's pose, or that might be sitting in a cross-legged position, one foot in front of the other, one foot tucked under, or sitting on a block. And blocks are some of the most amazing props in yoga. Not that I have any with me at this class, but I will in the future ones. But let's arrive here and back into our breath, sitting down. And the next cue, inhale through the stomach, the ribs, and the chest. Hold. Exhale through the chest, the ribs, and the stomach. Inhale through your stomach, your ribs, and your chest, and exhale through the chest, the ribs, and the stomach. And now just continue breathing in and out as you just center back into yourself. One of the reasons I came to yoga, I actually just had twins and had started a new business, and it was kind of all crazy, and I came to yoga more regularly than I had previously. I'd done it a couple of classes here or there, and I came to it just to find some movement flows, to get some energy moving. And after I did it a couple of times, I realized that I just felt amazing after each class. And it wasn't until a couple of years later that I realized the science behind it, that when you've been doing a yoga class, after 18 minutes of this regular breathing in through your nose and out through your nose, your body stops producing cortisol. So your entire stress reaction begins to fade and calm down. And that is such an important piece for us in yoga and us in our daily lives and our craziness between work and family and kids and emails and lists. It's just a nice way to center and fall into yourself. And you'll find as you start to get into flows and classes, then when you hit around that 14 to 20 minute mark, it just calms you and you're centered. So with that, we're going to move into a little warm up. And this is a normal warm up sequence. Generally for any class that I do, and lots of teachers do, we start in a cat-cow, which is in a tabletop position where you'll have your shoulders stacked over your wrists. So just arriving straight down, and you'll have your hips over your knees. And then from this nice tabletop position, we bring ourselves up and open. We roll our shoulders back. We bring our chest nice and brightly forward to the front of your room. And you imagine your collarbones are really lifting up here. And there's this beautiful articulation and arch coming down your spine as the vertebrae are moving. And that's your nice inhale through your nose. And as we exhale, we come into this nice domed cat position as we articulate our spine, really rolling it up. Our neck tucks down, tailbone's moving in towards our neck. Not that it can really arrive there, but we're really bringing that in and imagining the spine pushing up and then inhaling back open. And as you move forward, imagine your chest is really opening up here. And you'll feel that through your shoulders, through a nice stretch open. And then exhale. As that spine articulates and we move those vertebrae, you're really feeling your tailbone and pelvis moving towards the front of the room. And inhale. So come back and through. Open up. And there's a bit of strength as we roll those shoulders open. And our hips, we're starting to feel some movement there. And then I always like to do a little bow up. Hips. And then I always like to do some organic movements as we just start to move around. And if you feel your chest starting to move open, and you might just roll a little bit around, which moves the load around your wrists. And in our daily lives, we don't often have our hands pressed up like this. So it's quite a nice feeling to stretch out the muscles in our wrists. Because in yoga and a lot of these type of movement patterns, we spend a lot of time on our hands in this position. And it changes the pressure from our forearms, through our wrists, our thumbs, our fingers. It's a nice way just to stretch them open. And to move your hands, another beautiful way to start just in a nice little warm-up is just to lift the palms a little bit. And as you're just starting to move around, and these nice organic movements, you might find just helps those fingers stretch a little bit, moves that wrist pattern a little bit, and then come back to just some nice rolling movements here. And coming back to center, we're going to bring our toes to touch. Knees will come towards the edge of the mat. We're going to move back into a child's pose. And child's pose here is where your hips are moving towards your heels and your hands are pressed out. And then we bring our head down towards the ground. We breathe here. We feel our shoulders opening as our head's pressed down. Our hips are moving towards the back of the room. And if they're high, that's fine. If you're feeling pressure in your knees, you can bring them closer together. Or maybe you need to put a blanket underneath them. Again, this is about finding what's right for your body, this time and space. And just stretching here and breathing. Then your next inhale, moving up and forward. And let's just roll a little bit so our hips come towards the ground. And then exhale, moving back. And inhale, bringing this nice stretch forward. And exhale, coming back. And this time as you inhale and come forward, maybe rolling your toes out just to touch the outside of the mat. And bringing it back. If that's too much pressure on your knees, then just keep doing this nice moving child's pose. And let's arrive back onto our mat. We're just going to sit back to our heels. And again, if this is too much pressure on your knees, in hero's pose, sit down into a cross-legged position or sit down into a forward fold position where you've got your legs straight in front of you, whatever feels good for you. But what I want you to arrive is where you've got your chest up and open, your shoulders are rolling back here. We're going to lift our hands up to the sky. Fingertips will touch in this high prayer. And we're just going to cactus our hands open. And the cactus is bringing it down to around 90 degrees. Our chest will just pivot up slightly to the ceiling. And this is the cactus position. And exhale, bringing your hands down to your lap. Inhale, cycling those fingers up to the sky. Fingertips will touch. And then exhale as we just opening up and the gentle movement of our chest up to the sky, which just helps to open our upper chest, stretching. If you're feeling pressure in your lower back, then keep more of an upright position. But just a nice gentle place here, and hands back into your lap. And I really like to feel this one as you begin to move and feel some movement through the body. You kind of feel this nice awakening as your body just leans into this space and arrives into the present moment. And exhale down. Now coming up to a standing position. So however you want to arrive there, what's good for you. This might be for early in the morning. But let's arrive and I'll take you through the first and most traditional of all poses, mountain pose. Now mountain pose is something that we come to a lot, and we talk about Tadasana. We talk about Tadasana spine. So first things first, let's ground into the ground. Lift your 10 toes and grip into your mat, your floor, your carpet, wherever you are, just grip into that mat. Then I want you to feel your heels pressing into the ground and the outer edges of your feet and inner edges of your feet. So you've got this solid grounding position like a mountain. And bring that energy up through your legs. Then as your knees straighten, you want to feel those inner thighs just tightening up a bit. And as we pull up a little bit, we want pelvic floors to activate, ladies. For the boys out there, the way that you activate that is just imagine you're stopping peeing, and that kind of activates that lower muscles in here, your lower core muscles. And then bring that up into your core, through here, your stomach. And just imagine your ribs lift a little bit, just a tiny bit. You can't really lift your ribs up too much, but it's just the raising of this just realigns your spine. Tailbone points down towards the ground as your tailbone comes down. And then we want this length to come up your spine. Is it really like a string going up into the sky? Our shoulders roll open. And the way I like to roll my shoulders open is I bring the backs of my palms together and then I roll them open so that my palms are facing the front of the room. And if you sit in front of a keyboard all day like I do, this feels amazing. And you're open and bright here. And then with your neck, just pull it back a little bit. This is just a little neck lock. And it just aligns your neck into here. This great little lock. And this is mountain pose. It's actually a really active pose when you arrive into it and you're pressing through your feet, you're gripping through your inner thigh, tailbone's pointing down, you've got your pelvic floor on, you're really pulling through, your shoulders are back, and suddenly you're doing a lot of work, but you're just standing still. And this is mountain pose. And we hold this here, and let's breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And in through the nose and out through the nose. And that's mountain pose. You can release that now. And coming into the back of your mat, let's just bring our hands up into a high prayer. So with your feet hip distance apart, that's more of a modern yoga approach. People were taught originally to keep their big toes together. But us in our Western society bodies and the way that we sit in chairs all day and the way that we don't move as much around, it can be a lot more comfortable for us to keep our feet hip distance apart. Hands will raise up to the sky, fingertips touch, and bring your hands down into a prayer. And one more time, cycling through, hands up to the sky, and then hands down to a prayer. And taking our right foot forward, I just want you to take a step to the front of the mat. So kind of this high position here. And I want your left foot to pivot to a 45 degrees. And I'm just going to bend gently into this front knee so that our knee is tracking over our ankle. So right knee's over right ankle. We've got our left foot at 45 degrees coming to the side of the mat. And imagine you can feel grounding through the outer edge of your left foot. And as we raise our hands up, this is Warrior One. You arrive into this nice, strong position here. And we flow through this in a lot of sequences. But with this, our hips are moving towards the front of the room. Our biceps are coming up by our ears. Our chest is open and proud to the front of your mat, your space. And you're really feeling this here. You can feel into your hips as they're really starting to open and move a little bit. Our knees are staying solid and static over our ankles. And we're here. And then exhale, bring your left foot up to meet your right to the front of your mat. And inhale, hands up to the sky, fingertips touch. And exhale, bring your hands down to heart center. And now we're going to take our right foot to the back of the mat, keeping on a 45-degree angle, the same as we had on our left side. We're going to bring our left knee over our left ankle. And here again we arrive with our hands flowing up into our warrior one. We're really feeling into this space, feeling our body opening, hips are guiding towards the front of the room. They can't be completely towards the front of the room because your foot's back there, but you're moving them around. But if you can imagine your chest has moved to the front of your space, biceps are up by your ears, fingertips are pointing towards the sky. And breathe here. Don't forget to breathe. Inhale and exhale. Let the breath center you into this space. And then exhale, bringing your right foot up to meet the left. And hands will float up to the sky. Fingertips will touch. And bring your hands down to our heart center. And opening. So that's Warrior One and Tadasana Mountain Pose. And if you've seen in both of those poses, our spine is long and straight. We're really preserving that. We're preserving the natural curve of the spine. We're not putting pressure into our lower back. We're really trying to keep this length and strength at all times. Now, Warrior Two is the last one I'll take you through in this guided opening sequence, and then we'll move on to other sequences in other classes. But with this, let's bring our left foot to the back of the mat. And this time it's going to be more of a 90-degree angle facing across your mat at the back. And then we keep our right foot here as we were in Warrior One, and our knee is tracking over our right knee is tracking over our right ankle. And as we bring our hands up, this time we're opening them. And they come out from our shoulders, parallel to the ground. Roll your shoulders back and open, and arrive here into your Warrior Two. And Warrior Two, again, your hips are moving towards the front of the room. Your chest is open and strong, facing to the left side of your mat. Your gaze is following out over your right fingertips. And you're strong here. You can feel this strength. You feel the opening through your hips. You can feel your right knee over your right ankle. And you're grounding through the outer edge of your left foot. And bring your left foot up to the front of the mat. Hands flowing up to the sky, fingertips touch. Down through heart center and open. And right foot will come back this time. It's parallel to the back of your mat, to this nice 90-degree angle. Left knee is tracking over your left ankle. When you bring your hands up and we float them out from your shoulder height, parallel to the ground, and arrive into your Warrior Two. Rolling those shoulders open and down, feeling the space, feeling the strength of your warrior. Hips are guiding towards the front of the room. Gaze is moving out over your left fingertips. See if you can see your fingertips. See if you can see your index finger. And then exhale, bringing your right foot up to left. And this is the opening sequence, the guiding position. From Mountain Pose, we move through. We'll take you down to the ground on the next one, but your Warrior Ones and your Warrior Twos build on those foundational places. And if you can really imagine where your knee is tracking over your ankle, how your hips are moving open, how your chest is feeling open and proud, that will guide you in amazing stead for the rest of your journey through yoga. On the next class, I'll take you through a few more foundational movements and also some closing sequences and how to stretch and how to close out a Shavasana. I look forward to flowing with you in the next class. Thank you for coming on this journey with me and starting out part of the Ascension Series. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Namaste.